Yeah? So we're talking about Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. Let us tell us about his life, education, historical period, and experiences.
George Bernard Shaw was born in 1856 and died in 1950. He was born in Dublin into a prosperous family. However, his father's failings led to the family's loss of status. When Shaw was 16, his family split up. His mother and sisters went to London. Shaw later joined them. Shaw lived at the time of social unrest and great changes in Britain. First of all, it was World War the First, and it was fighting for women's rights and changes in social classes. Shaw struggled in London. He wrote 5 novels in 6 years, and all 5 were rejected from publishing companies. During this period, Shaw also wrote reviews of music, art, books, and drama. Shaw wrote more than 50 plays in his career. In 1925, Shaw earned the Nobel Prize in Literature.
So he is considered to be one of the famous Irishmen or Irish people in the world. Okay, I'll tell about Pygmalion.
The type of this work is satirical drama. By genre, Pygmalion is a drama, a play. It is first-person narration. The story takes place in London. It is set in the beginning of the 1900s, the turn of that century. Among the characters are Henry Higgins, a professor of phonetics, stated that he could pass Eliza off as a duchess instead of a poor flower girl by changing how she speaks. Colonel Pickering, a student of dialects who sells the bet with Higgins by paying for Eliza's dialect lessons. Eliza Doolittle, she is poor flower girl who is forced to sell her flowers off the streets due to her lack of proper speech and manners. Mrs. Higgins, he is Henry's Higgins' mother, who is more prim and proper than her son. Mrs. Pierce, she is housekeeper. She is very aware of class distinctions. And Freddie, a well-to-do young man who falls in love with the remade Alida.
Yeah, remade meaning that she was recreated. Okay, here I continue. What was the social context at the time?
Life in London is very hard for the poor class at the time. It is difficult to get a good job with no education and accent. So Eliza wants to change her accent to get a better job.
Okay, yes. And what was the best that it was based on?
Pygmalion is a legendary figure in Greek mythology who was a king and a sculptor. He is most familiar from Ovid's narrative poem Metamorphoses, in which Pygmalion was a sculptor who fell in love with a statue he had carved.
Okay, yeah, Natasha, tell about the plot of the story.
A street girl set in flowers, Eliza meets Professor Higgins. Higgins says that he can make her a duchess. It was changing her pronunciation. Later, she remembers what he said and goes to learn pronunciation with a desire to be an upper-class woman. Higgins decides to do an experiment with her. He deceives all the people at the party. It was making them believe that she is a duchess. After this success, Higgins suggests 2 options for Eliza. One is marrying based on her beauty. The other is running a flower shop with money from Colonel Pickering, who is a rich man. Eliza refuses to do both of them, and she leaves his home. She says she would marry Freddie.
Okay, yeah, good. And what are the main conflicts and themes or issues in this play? Yeah?
In this play, we see that usual conflict between the rich and the poor is transformed into the conflict between the educated and the uneducated. Among the main themes, issues are class system, social prejudice, judging by appearance, money and class, speech and dialect.
Okay, yeah. So, and in general, we can say that this is the story about the transformation. Yeah? how people find unpleasant things about themselves and how they got transformed.